In the heart of rural Bangladesh, young Akash looked at the world around him and decided he was going to build a different one. He desperately wanted to be an engineer, but his starting point was a harsh one. His father was a day laborer, trading intense physical exhaustion just to keep his family fed. No matter how hard he worked, that labor only bought another day of survival. Akash, meanwhile, was brilliant. He consistently ranked first in his class. Walking down that dirt path to school every day, his potential was obvious to everyone who taught him. But intelligence requires a medium to grow in. When you are trapped in an environment with zero economic resources, raw talent has no place to anchor itself. That reality hit Akash the day he was told to leave his classroom. His family couldn't pay the school fees, and suddenly his perfect grades didn't matter. For a child, that is a profound shock. It is the sudden collapse of the belief that simply being smart and wanting something badly enough will guarantee success. The academic world operates behind a strict financial tollgate. If you cannot afford the basic right to sit in the room, all the desire in the world leaves you locked out in the dark. Sitting alone, Akash had to ask himself a hard question. Why do dreams require money? He realized that ambition lacks gravity when there is no money to ground it. Without the cash for books and fees, the goal of engineering was as physically unreachable as the stars he looked at from his village. Akash didn't let the despair take over. Instead, he started looking at money differently, not as an abstract status symbol, but as a required mechanical tool. Look at it like an equation. You can have high ambition and take constant action, but if material resources are zero, the output is zero. You need a multiplier. That multiplier buys the physical infrastructure of learning: textbooks, electricity, and access fees. Since his family had no savings to tap into, Akash made a calculation. He would generate that capital using the only asset he actually owned: his raw physical energy. He forced himself into two completely different realities. By day, he sold his muscle through manual labor. By night, he funneled the tiny amount of money he earned into feeding his intellect. When you start with absolutely zero financial leverage, converting your own sweat into basic capital is the only mechanism available to get the math moving in your favor. Day after day, that relentless exchange began to accumulate. The tiny fraction of income he earned slowly bridged the massive deficit he was born into. The dual burden was exhausting, but it worked. He bought the books, he studied under the lantern, and took the national exams with hands still stained from the brickyard. When the results were posted, his scores bypassed the fees entirely. He had won a full merit-based scholarship. That scholarship pulled him out of his isolated village and dropped him directly into the dense, chaotic machinery of the city. His world expanded exponentially. No longer looking at mud and tin roofs, he was studying the physics behind structures of massive scale. But make no mistake, that scholarship was never a charitable gift. It was a transaction, paid for entirely upfront with his own extreme personal sacrifice. Fast forward to today, and Akash is operating in that modern urban environment as a fully realized professional engineer. He has replaced the generational poverty of his childhood with concrete financial stability, finally giving his aging parents the security they spent their lives working for. But he hasn't stopped there. Akash is now using his leverage to locate kids in his old village facing that same closed door, and he is paying their school fees. This is what capital actually does when applied correctly. It allows one individual to build enough momentum to reach down and turn the gears for an entire generation below them. Success means more than one person escaping the economic vacuum. By paying for those children now, Akash is systematically dismantling the financial gates that once held him back. Money is a specific piece of equipment needed to build a dream, but on its own, a bank balance has no momentum. Think of capital as inert fuel. Progress only happens when human effort provides the spark of ignition required to make that fuel useful. So look at the ambitions you hold right now. Are you waiting for the fuel to simply appear, or are you actively generating the sweat equity required to buy it? We want to hear from you. Outline your dream and tell us exactly what daily labor you are investing to fund it. Write down in the comments.